Society has a very specific name for a woman who lives alone. They call her lonely, unfortunate, or left behind. But if you actually talk to these women, you'll find they aren't suffering from a lack of people. They are thriving on a lack of drama. While the world looks at an empty house as a sign of failure, modern psychology is beginning to realize it might actually be a sign of a very high level of self-awareness and intelligence. What if the woman who lives alone isn't waiting for her life to begin? What if she has already reached the final level of psychological maturity that most people spend their entire lives avoiding? The truth is, there is a silent revolution happening in modern apartments and quiet homes all over the world. It's not a protest in the streets, it's a deliberate choice in the living room. More women than ever are choosing to lock their doors and exist in a space that belongs entirely to them. This isn't just a lifestyle trend, it is a profound psychological shift in how women perceive their value and their time. Today, we're going to peel back the layers of the lonely woman myth and reveal the hidden power of those who choose to live alone and why their silence is actually their greatest strength. The first reason many intelligent women choose to live alone is a phenomenon called emotional labor. For decades, social psychology has documented that in almost every social or domestic structure, women are socialized to be the primary managers of emotion. They are the chief emotional officers of the household. They are the ones who notice when a partner's tone shifts, the ones who smooth over conflicts between family members, and the ones who constantly adjust their own energy to make everyone else feel comfortable. This is a 24/7 job that requires immense mental bandwidth. After years of performing this role, a woman begins to notice a draining pattern. She realizes that she has spent her life being the therapist, the buffer, and the emotional manager for everyone around her, often at the expense of her own peace. When she finally chooses to live alone, she is effectively going on strike. She realizes that her chronic exhaustion didn't come from her career or her age. It came from the constant, invisible work of maintaining other people's emotional equilibrium. By living alone, she regains 100% of her own energy. She no longer has to read the room before she decides how she feels. In her own home, her mood is the only one that matters. This isn't selfishness, it's a vital recovery of the soul. This leads into a deeper psychological trait found in these women, high-level pattern recognition. Just like the world's smartest individuals who often disappear from the social scene, these women have started reading the invisible social scripts that govern our lives. They notice the friends who only call when they need a place to dump their trauma. They notice the partners who are looking for a mother rather than a teammate. They notice the subtle ways society tries to make them feel incomplete unless they are providing service to someone else. Once a woman starts seeing these patterns, she can't unsee them. She realizes that most traditional relationships require her to trade her silence and her peace for a false sense of security. She begins to weigh the cost of not being alone against the cost of being misunderstood, and she finds that the latter is far more expensive. For the intelligent woman, the trade-off is no longer worth it. She decides that her company is better than bad company, and her standards for who gets to cross her threshold become incredibly high. There is a massive misunderstanding that these women hate people or have become misanthropes. In reality, they are often the most selective and loyal friends a person could have. However, they have a zero-tolerance policy for shallow interactions or performative personalities. Because they are so comfortable in their own company, they don't need people to fill a void. This makes them psychologically dangerous in the eyes of society. They only engage with people they actually respect and enjoy. Their social circle doesn't shrink because they are bitter, it shrinks because their standards for energy exchange have become sophisticated. They would rather spend a Friday night in total silence, reading a book or exploring a hobby, than spend it listening to someone lie, complain, or perform a social mask. They have discovered that being alone is not the same as being lonely, and being with people is often where the real loneliness happens. Another key psychological factor is the transition from loneliness to solitude. Loneliness is a state of fear. It's an externalized anxiety that you are incomplete or broken without a witness. Solitude, however, is a state of mastery. It's the realization that you are a complete universe on your own. When a woman moves from loneliness to solitude, her nervous system undergoes a profound transformation. In a crowded or chaotic home, the brain is constantly in a state of micro-alertness. You are always subconsciously tracking where others are, what they are doing, and what they might need next. your amygdala never truly rests. In solitude, the nervous system finally enters a true state of rest and digest. This is why women who live alone often report a surge in creativity and focus. They finally have the mental bandwidth to explore their own interests without being interrupted by someone else's minor crisis. They aren't escaping the world. They are creating a controlled environment where they can finally hear the sound of their own intuition. For the first time, silence stops feeling like a gap that needs to be filled and starts feeling like a foundation upon which they can build. But here is the real reason society is so afraid of a woman who is happy alone. She is uncontrollable. Most systems of social control, marketing, traditional expectations, and even workplace dynamics rely on the fear of being unwanted. If you can make a person afraid of being alone, you can make them stay in a job they hate, a relationship that drains them, or a social circle that devalues them. A woman who loves her own company has effectively lost that fear. She cannot be manipulated with the threat of ending up alone because she already knows that being alone is where she is most powerful. This independence makes her highly resilient. She doesn't look for a missing piece in others. When she faces a problem, she doesn't panic. She looks inward to the internal resources she has spent years building. She knows her own value because it isn't being reflected back to her by someone else's approval. It's being built every morning when she wakes up in a home that she curated with her own hands and her own money. The final realization for these women is that time is their only non-renewable resource. They become incredibly intentional about how they spend it. They stop saving the good dishes, the expensive silk, or the nice candles for a special occasion or a future guest. They realize that they are the special occasion. Living alone allows them to treat themselves with the same level of care and respect that society told them they should save for a husband or children. They become the architects of their own joy. So, if you see a woman who chooses to live alone, do not pity her. She hasn't lost the game of life. She has opted out of a game she no longer wants to play. She isn't hiding from the world. She is finally standing in her own light. She has discovered that being alone is not a tragedy. It is a superpower. And if you are that woman, know that you aren't weird, broken, or antisocial. You are a pioneer in the art of self-respect. You have stopped disappearing into other people's lives and have finally started appearing in your own. Your home isn't just a place to sleep, it is the laboratory where you are discovering who you truly are. And in that quiet space, you are finally free. Thanks for watching. Like the video and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.